this is Baby Ramana, teacher in English. In this video, I would like to share with you the topic how to change the active voice sentence into passive voice sentence. Before knowing how to change the active voice sentence into passive voice sentence, let us have a glance at the meaning of active voice and passive voice. Well, what is voice? Voice is a form of verb which projects its subject as either doer of an action or the receiver of an action. So, when the form of verb which projects its subject as the doer of an action, it is called active voice. And a form of verb which projects its subject as the receiver of an action, then the form of verb is called passive voice. Look at these examples. He eats biscuits. Here the form of verb eats projects its subject he as the doer of an action. So this form of verb is called active voice. Now the biscuits are eaten by him. Here the form of verb are eaten projects its subjects, that is biscuits, as the receiver of an action. So here this form of verb or eaten is called passive voice. Well, when we look at the answers, that is when we look at the sentences of active voice and passive voice, we know clearly what are the changes we have made. First one, we have made the subject changes. Look at these subjects. The subjects have been changed. And object changes. Look at these objects. These objects are changed. And next one is verb changes. Here verb, the form of verb has been changed into the verb 3, that is past participle, and one be form is added. That means an appropriate be form is added. So from these two sentences, it is clear that there are two kinds of changes, that is subject and object changes and verb changes. What are the subject and object changes? First one is interchange of subject and object, and next one is put by before object, and third one is write verb 3 or past participle before by preposition, and add a be form, an appropriate be form, that is it may be or being or been or is or are or am or was and were. So in this way, when we want to change from active voice sentence to passive voice sentence, these four changes are needed. Well, let us see how these changes, how these rules can be applied in different sentences. Well, now let us see how we can change the active voice sentence into passive voice in statements. Example number 1. She can sing songs. First we have to identify the subject and object, and then the first change. Interchange of the subject and object. Here she brought here and songs brought here. So the interchange of subject and object has been done. And next one, put by before object. Here before object by is put. Third one, write verb 3, that is past participle before by preposition. Here before by preposition, past participle of verb sing has been written, that is sing, sang, sung. So verb 3 form is sung. So here the verb 3 or past participle form has been written before by. This is the third rule. And fourth rule is that we have to add an appropriate be form to the helping verb. Here in the question sentence, the helping verb is can. So the appropriate be form is be. So be is added to the helping verb can. Then we get the answer. Songs can be sung by her. So whenever we have in the question can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must, ought to, then we have to add be to these helping verbs. That means if can is there, we have to write can be. If could is there, we have to write could be. If will is there, we have to write will be. If would is there, we have to write would be. If shall is there, we have to write shall be. If should is there, we have to write should be. If may is there, we have to write may be. If might is there, if you should write might be. If must is there, we have to write must be. In this way, we can add be to these helping verbs. Well, let us now see the second example. Now, look at the second example. I have written the letters. The first thing is that we have to identify subject and object. And then subject is brought here, object is brought here. So this is subject and verb changes. And next one, interchanging of subject and object. This is the first rule. And next one, the letters and me are the subjects and objects which are interchanged. And then we have to add by before object. This is the second rule. The letters by me is the changes we have made previously. And now the third change is that we have to add verb 3, that is past participle before by. This is the third change. And fourth change is that before verb 3, that is past participle, we have to write an appropriate be form to the helping verb. Here the helping verb is have. In the question we have the helping verb have. So whenever in the question we have whether it is has or have, we have to write in the answer both has and have plus been, because this has, out of these has or have, one agrees with the changed subject. So with this changed subject, letters have agrees. So we have to strike out this has. So we get the answer. The letters have been written by me. So the appropriate be form is been is added if there is in the question has or have. Now next example. Example number 3. We had taken his books. First we have to identify the subject and object. And then we have to interchange the subject and object. Here we is brought here, that is in the form of us, and his books brought here. This is the first change, that is interchange of subject and object. And next one, before object we have to write by. So by is written here. And next one, before by we have to write verb 3 form. So taken is written here. And next one, we have to add a be form to the helping verb. Here the helping verb is had. So to this had, the appropriate be form is been is to be added. So we have written had been. So in the question, when we have the helping verb had, we have to add been to it. And by doing so, we get the answer. His books had been taken by us. Let us see another example. Example number 4. He is watching the movie. The first one, we have to identify subject and object. And then we have to interchange the subject and object. So he brought here him, and the movie is brought here. And next we have to add by before object. and then we have to write verb 3 before by. So watch, the verb watch, the B form, the third form of watch is watched. So here this watched is written before by. And next we have to add an helping, that means a be form to the helping verb. Here the helping verb is. So whenever we have in the question sentence is or am as helping verbs, we have to add the be appropriate be form, that is being. So we have written like this: is or am plus being. So it is clear that whenever in the question is or am, we have to write all the forms is or am plus being. And after writing that, we cannot keep all these three forms. So we have to see out of these three forms which form agrees with the subject. So here the subject is movie. So movie agrees with is. So we have to strike out are and am. So then we get the answer: the movie is being watched by him. So the be form rule is that whenever there is helping verb is or am, then we have to add the be form being. Well, let us see the next example. Example number 5. She was playing chess. Here we have to first identify the subject and object, and then we have interchanged the subject and object. So she brought here and became her, and chess brought here written chess. And next we have added the by before object, and then we have added the verb 3 form, that is past participle before by. So playing became played, and then we have to add an appropriate be form. Here the appropriate be form is being, because whenever in the sentence there is was or were, we have to write both was and were plus being. So we have written like this. And after writing this was or were plus being, we cannot keep was and were both the forms in the answer. So we have to remove one. So which is to be removed? We have to see out of these two forms which one agrees with the subject chess. So chess is singular, so was is singular. So they both of them agrees. So both of them agree. So we have to remove were here. Then we get the answer: the chess was being played by her. So the be form rule is that whenever there is was or were, add be form being. Friends, let us see another example. Well, example number 6. Cows give milk. First we have to identify subject and object, and there should be interchange. That means cows brought here, milk brought here. And then the second rule is that we have to add by before object. And third one is that before by we have to write the verb 3 form, that is give has been changed into given. And next we have to add an appropriate be form to the helping verb. But in the question there is no helping verb. So the main verb is verb 1 form. So we have to write is or am. These are the appropriate be forms. But all the three forms cannot be written here. Only one is to be kept, and rest are to be removed. So milk agrees with the subject is. So are and am are to be removed. And then we get the answer: milk is given by cows. So the be form rule is that when there is only verb 1 and no helping verb, then we have to write be form is or am. Let us look at another example. Example number 7. She helped them. First we have to identify subject and object, and then we have to interchange the subject and object. So she brought here became her, and them brought here, that is they. And next we have to write by before object. And after that, as a third rule, we have to write verb 3 form, that is helped became the verb 3 form helped. And then we have to add an appropriate be form, that is was or were. Why should we write was and were? Because whenever there is only verb to and there is no helping verb in the question, as here there is no helping verb, as there is only verb to form, we have to write the appropriate be form, that is was or were. So after writing was or were, we have to look which of these form agrees with this subject they. So they agrees with were. So was is to be removed. And then we get the answer. They were helped by her. And now let us see another example. Another example, that is example number 8. I did not buy it. First we have to identify subject and object, and then we have to interchange the subject and object. I is brought here and it is brought here. And then we have to add by before object. And after that we have to write verb 3 form, that is bought. By becomes bought here. So the verb 3 form, that is past participle, is to be written before by. And then as not is there in the sentence, we can write not here. And after that we have to add an appropriate be form. As the be form is there, that is helping verb is there, that is did is there. So whenever did is there, we have to remove the did, and in that place we have to write was or were. So when we have written was or were, out of these two, which form agrees with the subject? It. So it agrees with the was. So we have to remove were. So we get the answer. It was not bought by me. Then the be form rule is that if there is did, remove it and write was or were. And the last sentence, the last type of sentence is example number 9. He does not eat biscuits. First we have to identify the subject and objects. Then we have to interchange the subject and objects. So the subject he brought here and became him, and biscuits is brought here. And then we have to add by before object. And after that we have to, as a third rule, we have to write verb 3 form, that is eat becomes eaten. And fourth rule, that here not is there, so we have written not here. And fourth rule is that adding an appropriate be form. Here the helping verb is does. So whenever we have do or does in the sentence, in the question sentence, we have to remove that, and in that place we have to write is or am. So whenever we have written is or am, we have to see which of these 3 forms agrees with the subject biscuits. So biscuits is a plural form, so are agrees with it. So we have to remove is and am. Then we get the answer. Biscuits are not eaten by him. So the rule is, the be form rule is that if there is do or does, write is or am and remove do or does. So this is what about the changing of active voice sentence into passive voice sentence. Well, now you have seen how to change from active voice sentence to passive voice sentence. There are 4 changes. First one is interchanging of subject and object and adding by before object, and then we have to write verb 3 form before that by, and we have to add an appropriate be form to the helping verb. Well friends, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel by tapping subscribe button on YouTube. Let us meet with another video on passive voice in question forms. Passive voice for question forms. Well, namaste. Have a nice day.